Hey everybody, coming to you again from space. In this case, on the bridge of the USS Creative Commons, the only free view screen image on the internet, which is like to the USS Enterprise what the cheap toy of the USS Enterprise that my dad bought me when I was a kid because the real one was too expensive. Because this one is free, right? So USS Creative Commons, Professor F, back in space. What I want to talk about today, a little bit different. I'm not going to talk about the stonks again. Maybe next time I'll talk about the stonks again. But this time I want to talk a little bit about student engagement, because that's where I started kind of ranting last time, right? Was kind of talking about how there was all this sort of verbiage that I used to love to incorporate into lectures that I had to now leave out because the lectures had to be so much tighter and smaller, right? Because they're 10-minute video mini lectures, and I got thinking about that, right? Like why is that? Like why are we down in this short format now for online learning? Are we just like taunting the ghost of Neil Postman to come and warn us that we're all about to amuse ourselves to death, right, with our now this, right, 10-minute video mini lecture YouTube format teaching? And I mean, I think there's a point there, right? Like the ghost of Neil Postman always has a point whenever he visits me on Christmas Eve. But I don't think that's all that's happening, right? I think there's a good reason why we're squashing everything down, and it's mostly because of the realities of engagement, right? Of the possibilities of engagement and holding attention in a online video space, right? And that's not just because of the frantic nature of social media. Like some of it's just the affordances of the medium, right? As we say. In other words, like what does the medium, what does the actual delivery mechanism do for creators and for audiences? And I mean, the thing about an in-person lecture hall is you can't leave, right? Like it's hard to leave. Everyone will see you and you'll be embarrassed, right? So you've got kind of a captive audience for 50 minutes or an hour and 15 minutes or whatever you've got. Whereas the reality of the video window is, you can always just click away. You can always just click away. And I think folks try to get around that by doing like live in-person video call classes. Okay, fair enough. Like I get that that's what folks want to do. But I think they tend to run into trouble with those because, students turn their cameras off and then they're just clicking away anyway, or they feel like people aren't paying attention, or they feel like folks aren't engaged. And that, I think, in a lot of ways boils down to the fact that, right, a video call is not a replacement for an in-person meeting. Mostly, I would argue, because a camera is not a human eyeball, right? Cameras are not human eyeballs, and I think we forget that frequently, and at our peril, right? Like I think the way that video works is that it fools us into thinking we are seeing something like a natural field of human vision, when in fact we are seeing anything but that, right? Like, go ahead. Turn around right now. Turn your back on me and the USS Creative Commons, right? Just go ahead, spin yourself around. Take a look at the room behind you. I wonder if I was audible just then. I wonder if this Blue Yeti picked me up or if I went... Anyway, take a look at the room around you. Yeah, right? Like, it's weird. It's weird if you start paying attention to what your eyes actually see. It's funky. Like, there's a focused area, and then you've got all this peripheral vision going on where there's, like, stuff, right? And what cameras are is not that, right? Camera just builds this little picture that's all, like, in focus. And what that means, right, is that a video call is this very binary form of attention. Like, either someone is taking up your whole screen, right, and all that high in focus kind of attention of your visual field, or they're not really there at all, right? Like there's no peripheral vision. Like if I'm in front of an in-person class, most of the class is kind of in my peripheral vision. Like I can skate around and check in. Okay, how are you? But in any given moment, right? I have a sort of vague awareness of like where the students are. Are they looking at me? Are they not looking at me? Are they happy? Are they unhappy? I have a sort of a vague awareness of that, but I don't have a detailed awareness, right, of any particular one. Whereas, right, if you're in a video environment, either you've got the old Zoom Brady Bunch grid, right, where you've got everybody on screen all at once, and they're about 7.5 pixels wide, right? They could easily be rendered by the video card from my 46SX from 1994, or you've got something like this, right? You've got someone taking up the whole screen, and they're in this high detail mode, and like that makes everything weird, right? Like this much attention, like I could very easily eat a granola bar in an in-person classroom, right? If I'm sitting in the back row. But if I eat a granola bar here on whole screen, well, it's a horror show. It's terrible. No one wants to see this. And so, either, there we go. I thought that was going to be funny. I hope it was funny. Either you've got an image of someone who we know from plenty of anecdotal evidence can be replaced by a cardboard cutout, with no one being the wiser, or you've got an image of someone that's so detailed that if they eat a granola bar in class, they're going to, it's not for the faint of heart. So what that means, in the end, is that attention through a medium like this just isn't the same. And if we try to smash it into being the same, we end up with these things where we're like, using bizarre eye tracking software to put students in a literal Foucault's panopticon, and it's just, it's pedagogically bad, and it's chasing our own tails, and it's, oh my God. I think the simplest solution, I think, am I doing well? Am I doing poorly? A simple solution is just make the calls smaller, right? Meet with fewer people at once. Anyway, attention. It's not the same. Not the same. And that's why here at the 7.5 minute mark, me and the USS Creative Commons are going to sign off. We'll see how much post-production I get done this time. I hope that you just saw a bunch of cool stuff here in the view screen, but maybe you didn't. Who knows? Camera's not a human eyeball. Attention, you can't just replicate one form of attention in another medium. Can't do it. Won't work. Think about that for next time. And don't forget to like and subscribe. That's your homework. See you then.